At 5:27 p.m. Pacific Time on December 22, 2017, 9 Merlin engines lit at Space Launch Complex 4 East at Vandenberg Air Force Base. The rocket was a Falcon 9, about 70 meters tall, carrying 10 Iridium communication satellites. Southern California was already past sunset. Within minutes, a machine no taller than a city building had made a glowing shape large enough to be filmed from Los Angeles, San Diego, and parts of Arizona. It was not one simple flame. There was a bright head, a pale fan of exhaust, a second point of light after stage separation, and an expanding cloud that seemed detached from any ordinary aircraft. The mission itself was still in progress. The satellites had not yet been deployed. The question is not whether people saw something real. They did. The question is why an ordinary rocket can stop looking like a machine and start looking like an object with no familiar scale. The answer is sunlight, pressure, exhaust, and the limits of human judgment in a dark sky. The first condition is the simplest one. After sunset, the ground is inside Earth's shadow. But the upper atmosphere is not always dark. A rocket climbing east or south from a coastal launch site can rise out of that shadow while the people watching it remain in night. From the ground, the sky is black enough for contrast. At altitude, the exhaust is still lit by the sun. This is why twilight launches are so conspicuous. The rocket is not producing a new kind of light. It is carrying a cloud of gas and particles into sunlight that the observer cannot see at ground level. The second condition is pressure. At sea level, air pressure is about 101 kilopascals. By 50 kilometers altitude, it is less than 1,000th of that. A rocket engine nozzle is a shaped opening that turns hot, high-pressure gas into a fast jet. Near the ground, the surrounding air helps squeeze that jet into a narrow flame. Higher up, there is too little air to confine it. The exhaust spreads sideways, sometimes into a fan wider than the rocket's whole path. Falcon 9 burns kerosene and liquid oxygen. Its exhaust contains hot gas, water vapor, carbon dioxide, and soot. In sunlight, that material can scatter light over a large area. The visible object is not the metal rocket. It is a moving, expanding cloud made by the rocket. A launch is not one continuous event. About 2.5 minutes after liftoff, a Falcon 9 first stage normally shuts down and separates from the second stage. The second stage engine then ignites in thinner air, where its plume can grow much larger than the first stage flame. If the booster is returning to land or to a drone ship, separate engine burns can appear in different parts of the sky. Upper stages can coast, turn, vent propellant, or relight an engine. Venting means releasing gas or liquid from the vehicle, often to control pressure or prepare for another maneuver. In near vacuum, even a small release can become a round shell, a curved sheet, or a spiral if the stage is rotating. These shapes can be real without being solid. Human vision is poor at judging the distance of an unfamiliar light in a dark sky. Distance normally comes from a context: trees, buildings, clouds, sound, known aircraft sizes, and motion against nearby objects. A high-altitude exhaust cloud removes most of those clues. It may be tens or hundreds of kilometers away, but with no useful reference, it can look close and slow. It can also look silent because sound arrives late, spreads out, or never reaches the observer clearly. Many UFO reports begin this way. A sincere witness sees a real object, but the object's height, size, and speed are not the ones the brain assigns to it. SpaceX is associated with this effect because it launches often, uses large liquid fuel rockets, and flies from coasts near major population centers in California and Florida. Reusable flights can add boost-back burns, re-entry burns, landing burns, and visible venting to the sequence. That makes the sky show more complicated than a single launch plume. The physics is not owned by one company. Any similar rocket at a similar altitude in similar lighting can make the same kind of luminous fan, shell, or spiral. A twilight launch can look like a UFO because several ordinary effects happen at once. The ground is dark, but the rocket and its exhaust are sunlit. The air is thin, so the plume expands far beyond the scale of the vehicle that made it. The flight changes state, stages separate, engines relight, boosters return, and vents release material into near vacuum. The witness sees all of that without reliable distance cues. The general explanation is well understood. The remaining uncertainty belongs to individual sightings. A specific video still needs a time, a location, a direction, and a matching flight timeline. Without those, the physics can explain the class of event, but not prove the identity of every light in the sky. That's why source. If this was worth your time, like it, share it, and tell me in the comments what you want examined next. If you would like to support this work, the Patreon link is in the description.